You must be missing me so bad. When you left, you said that I don't deserve you, but I can see that you don't wanna lose what we had. Oh, you're the one that I need. Let's just take it slow and just breathe. Loving someone is not easy, you know, but it makes us feel alive, so we go with the flow. Just love me harder, have no mercy on me, just tell me louder. If you're loving me, just love me harder, have no mercy on me, tell me louder. If you're loving me, can I tell you what I want? Can I tell you what I need? Can I tell you what I want? Can I tell you what I need? Tell you what I need. Can I tell you what I want? Can I tell you what I need? Can I tell you what I want? Can I tell you what I need?
Good evening, everybody. It's Tuesday night, and I'm back for another streaming week here, my friends. And despite what it says on your screen, I am going to be playing some Star Trek Resurgence tonight. And for the week here, well, depending on how long it takes, I don't know exactly how long. I didn't look it up. I imagine it's a narrative game, so I imagine it's probably like a few hours here and there, like 6 hours or something like that. Who knows? But I do want to play it straight through. So that is what we're going to be doing this week for the most part. But I hope everyone's had a good weekend and everything is going well for everyone and getting a good start to your week as well. Everything is going pretty good with me. I'm finally up with the up with the warmth as it comes through here. So I've taken care of my very long locks of hair and got rid of them for now, for beginning of the summer here. Winding us into the here in the States Memorial Day weekend, which at least on the northeast part of the country is considered sort of the unofficial start of summer, because everybody decides to go down to the shore and you know, get some sun and waves and all that stuff. So that is what we're rolling into. And anywho, I am excited. I you know, we're starting a little bit early tonight, because I am excited to get started with Star Trek Resurgence here. I haven't seen... I saw an early trailer on it. I saw a little bit of another trailer as well that had some spoiler stuff in it, unfortunately. Which is... I mean, I know there were some things I already knew, but there were a couple other things that would have been nice... Probably would have been a nice surprise. But then again, I don't really... Spoilers don't really bother me all that much. Because if it's a good story... it'll be a good story, and from what I understand from the reviews so far, gameplay wise, it's nothing spectacular from what I understand, but the story is actually pretty good, especially if you're a Star Trek fan like me. I mean, if you're not a fan, then it's probably not going to do much for you, but it definitely has a, from what they're saying, a Telltale like games layout. So, and I played the heck out of the Telltale games when they were a thing. So, with that said, let's jump in. I've launched a game once just to get the settings together. There's not much in the way of the settings, which has me a bit on edge, because obviously this was probably done with like consoles in mind and stuff, and with that I'll probably use the controller here if I can on PC. It looks like it's working, because I suspect that they'll probably work better with the controller stuff. And it is on Epic Game Store exclusive for now. I imagine at some point it'll probably go out on Steam probably. But you know, that doesn't bother me a whole lot. It bothers a lot of other people probably more than it should, but I'm fine with it. So that's all. That stuff is something you should know as we go here. So let's go and let's get that down there. Let's get the sound going a bit here, and yeah, I guess we'll get started. I'm debating whether I want to separately record. I think I will. And we'll see if I remember to do that for the rest of the week or not. We'll see here. Anyway, let's get started with some Star Trek Resurgence and see what we have going on here, friends. And I hope is the cursor going to be stuck on the screen? That's gonna suck. Oh, empty slots in. Looks like it cleared it off the screen, hopefully. This is Dramatic Labs adventure. Relationships and adventure about to experience will be shaped by the choices you make. Okay. Starting off with a Telltale way. Hopefully the audio is good. I haven't tested it.
Captain's log, stardate 57931.4. The crew is restless. After spending too many months piecing our ship back together, we finally about to venture out on a new mission. And the crew isn't letting this unprecedented ion storm slow them down. They're ready for something different. I know I am. Perhaps more than any of them. Fortunately, nothing ever stays the same. It's entropy, the nature of the universe. Change is inevitable. And while entropy says order gives way to chaos, in this case, change is good. Our new first officer is en route to the Resolute. Jara Rydek. I know she'll bring a welcome dose of new blood to the crew.
Jordan? No, actually, it's gotta be something else. Because her ridges go all the way up her head. I don't know.
Thanks.
No problem.
I'm not great with flying. But these little shuttles are the worst.
I've seen worse.
Stick around in Starfleet and you'll be sure to see worse than this. I have.
And you're here to talk about it.
In the flesh.
That's good.
Crew is impacted by things you say. What species is she?
Sorry, I'm a little anxious.
I hadn't noticed.
I'm on my way to my first assignment. When we get to the starbase, I'm transferring on to the Resolute.
So am I.
It won't be easy for Jara to step in at the 11th hour like this. But if she's half the officer I knew she could become...
Got a Miranda class there?
Starfleet Academy. She'll be the XO this ship needs right now.
And a modified steam runner class, it looks like. And there's another steam runner. Wait, the speed at which we just docked. Everyone's thrown against the wall. Check in at security. Okay. Starbase 128.
A starbase on the very edge of Federation space. Long way from home now.
Explains why we were on a shuttle ride, I guess.
Commander? I'm not usually such a nervous wreck, by the way. I actually did well at the Academy.
Oh yeah?
Maybe you've heard of the Torvalin test?
Sounds familiar.
It's a tactical simulator that makes the Kobayashi Maru look like a picnic on Pintaris 5. Anyway, I finished in the top 20. Not just in my class. I mean, all time. In the history of the Academy.
Very impressive.
So, there's that.
Really? That's quite impressive.
Thank you. It was tough. But you know, I set my mind to it and it paid off.
Good for you, Ensign.
Please place your hand here. Hold it there for a few seconds.
A ring there, too.
Welcome, Commander Rydek.
Wait, you're Jara Rydek? You absolutely crushed the Torvalin test. You finished in what, like the top 3?
That would be me.
Now I'm really... It's an honor to meet you, Commander. Sorry, I didn't realize before. I just came off the shuttle and was glad to be on
Let him
solid
sweat
ground,
for a second here.
so to speak.
The pleasure is mine, Ensign.
Paul Calloway.
Good to meet you.
I believe Commander Ermot is expecting you. He's in the concourse just ahead.
See you on the Resolute.
Okay. Oof, we got motion blur. I can't turn it off, unfortunately. That sucks. Ugh, God. One of these days, I want to ask a developer, why would you ever turn this on by default? Because it's just the worst.
Commander.
Like, why even waste time with motion blur? Just spend more time on the actual game. Oh man. Maybe there's an INI file or something I can edit to turn that off, because that's going to be... It's pretty bad, too. It's not like the halfway decent motion blur you sometimes can get in good games. It's the really bad motion blur.
For someone with blue skin.
Lost crewman?
Are you all right?
Yeah, I'm just... Well, I'm not sure where my departure dock is. The Resolute's gonna leave without me.
Look here. The Resolute is leaving from this dock.
Ah, you're right. Nerves must be getting to me. Thanks so much, Commander.
It's leaving from the door that we were standing right next to. So what, we got a bunch of greenhorns to deal with.
Starbase 128 has 4 docks.
That's I guess it's not that big of a starbase then. It looked like it was a pretty big base, but I guess not. Replicated meal.
I'll replicate myself a meal once I'm on board.
All right.
Excuse me. Have you seen a Bolian around here?
Yes, sir. Right back there, near the replicator.
Ah, there he is. Thank you.
Happy to help, Commander.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Commander? Is he our tactical officer?
The edge of the galaxy, Commander Rydek. I'm Commander Jan Ermot, operations
Yep,
officer.
or operations. Okay. Not tactical, but
Commander.
operation.
I hope there wasn't too much trouble getting here. This storm isn't making anything easy for us right now. I know conditions are less than ideal at the moment.
It was a bit bumpy.
It was a bit bumpy, but otherwise okay.
My apologies. This storm is unlike anything I've seen before. We're grateful you were able to come fill our first officer vacancy at such short notice. From everything I've read and everything I've heard, we're lucky you were available to us. Coming from a premier starship and all. To our little research vessel.
What have you heard?
What exactly have you heard about me?
First in your class at the Academy. Received the Starfleet Award of Valor during the Dominion War.
Hmm?
Most recently, Tactical Officer and Chief of Security on the USS Endeavor.
You've done your homework.
Like I said, we're very lucky. The USS Resolute. She may not look like much compared to the bigger ships, but as far as science vessels go, she can more than hold her own. And she doesn't look so bad considering 6 months ago she was nearly cracked in half, venting plasma, fighting for her life.
It was an accident?
The equipment malfunction. An accident suggests fault, but No one's to blame. It was a planned test, but the warp core was pushed beyond its limits. It destabilized the dilithium, there was a runaway reaction, and the warp bubble deformed. We thought we could reach a higher resonant frequency, but it was more than she could handle. Cost us our first officer and 22 of our crew. At the end of the day, we're all responsible for each other. That's what it means to be a crew.
Sorry for your loss.
I can't even begin to imagine what that must have been like for you. I'm so sorry for your loss.
Thank you. It does weigh heavy. There are some things you can't forget.
Were you hurt?
Were you hurt in the accident? In the equipment malfunction?
Nothing worse than the loss of so many. Listen, I realize you've known Captain Solana for quite some time, and I'm sure you're ready to bring your best. But I should warn you that when the captain announced you would be the new first officer, there were those who felt it was a mistake, that he should have promoted from within. So you might want to tread lightly at first. Until they come to value your contributions as much as he does.
Thanks for the heads up.
Thank you. Always good to have a sense for what you're walking into.
I just thought you ought to know.
I appreciate it.
Starfleet has assigned us a high-priority mission to the Hotari region. I'll let the captain brief you on board. I know he's eager to see you.
Will we be mission ready in time?
We have every intention. The crew has been working around the clock to get the ship ready. There's still so much to do.
Okay.
Stuck. I got just the thing.
Find the plasma torch. Spanner. I think a coil spanner. This looks like a plasma torch. Okay. I could maybe do the opposite now.
That is that.
The lower decks. Oh, this is foot. Okay, now there's.
I thought that thing was totally fried.
Oh, what are we going to play? Oh, we're playing multiple people? Okay, I was wondering why they jumped to him. Now we're a lower decker.
Nothing to it, Millie.
And not a moment too soon. The boss wants us down in engineering. Like, now.
Oh, we got a trill. Alright. Oof, the camera. Camera doesn't know where it wants to be. Ooh, wood grain on the turbo lift, on the doors and stuff. Ooh, fancy.
I heard the new XO just arrived. Won't be long before we get underway. I just hope whatever Chovok called us down for, it's something good. I can never tell with him. I'd rather not end up degaussing plasma manifolds. Hanging upside down makes me queasy.
Yeah, we can handle anything.
You and me working together, we can tackle anything he throws at us.
Your optimism is positively contagious. Looks like we got here before.
Lieutenant Commander Chovak.
We were just looking for you, Commander.
Petty Officers Ed Solar, Diaz. I was beginning to think you would be late. We are all hands on deck right now, which means if you are not at your post at the appointed time, I do not have someone to replace you. A point I have been forced to make to Petty Officer Edsolar on repeated occasions.
Sorry for the delay.
Apologies for the delay, Commander.
I do not want your apologies. Simply see to it that it does not happen again.
So, I don't suppose you wanted us down here to check in before we go off duty?
On another duty shift.
Equip yourselves in EV suits to work on the exterior of the hull. I need you to tune the structural integrity field for optimal performance. The subspace distortions and ionic interference we are experiencing are preventing the proper calibration. But this ship must be ready to depart shortly, despite the storm. The precise nature of these disturbances are not fully understood. But many systems have been affected by the wide band of emissive activity.
We'll be ready.
Whatever it throws at us, we'll be ready. We've got the best chief engineer in the fleet.
I am a Vulcan.
I was gonna say, he's a Vulcan, dude.
Flattery is not necessary.
He's a Vulcan.
All
You
that
don't
I
need to kiss his
require is
ass.
that you do your job. Right now, that entails critical preparations, because long-range sensors show that these disturbances will be more severe at our destination, the Hotari system. You have your orders. Do not delay.
Yes,
Roger
Commander
that.
Chovak.
Lieutenant Commander, huh?
Oh, what's that?
All hands on deck. That's what Chovak said. You know what that means? It means this ship isn't ready to go out and the brass know it. So they're throwing every warm body at it. And they're going to leave on schedule. Consequences be damned.
So it's on us now.
It all comes down to us, Nilly. We're the ones who will get it ready.
I know what we can do. But this isn't just any old refit or any old relaunch.
Oh, whoa. Excuse me.
He's,
A lot of new faces.
we're lower deckers, not invisible deckers.
It's gotta be tough coming as a replacement. That's for sure.
Give them a chance.
They seem all right. Something that happened 6 months ago while they were off on another ship? Well, that's nothing to hold against them.
Yeah, you're right. I guess getting a little new blood on board doesn't hurt.
A little new blood. It seems like they freaking swapped out the whole crew.
Expect to see again. Hey, Miranda.
You weren't gonna leave without me, were you?
Miranda, you're here?
We thought you were staying on the Adirondack.
Transfer came in at the last minute, so I figured I'd slum it on this bucket of bolts. Looks like you got her back together pretty nicely. I wasn't sure what to expect.
Well, welcome aboard.
I'm gonna take the high road here, pretend you didn't say that, and welcome you aboard.
He's a better diplomat than I am.
He still owes me a bottle of Saurian brandy. Don't think I forgot.
Oh yeah, it's coming back to me now.
Maybe Carter can rustle up that bottle and we can give you a proper welcome. As soon as we wrap up this quick little spacewalk.
I stand here and stare awkwardly at the guy trying to hand me my helmet.
So what's the word? Are you back in the security rotation?
Yep. Still running with the usual suspects.
Whoa.
Good to go. See you on the other side.
Activating magnetic souls.
Come on, keep walking.
That view never gets old.
Let's go.
What are we like? We go out the furthest airlock we could from where we needed to be. We're on the completely opposite end of the ship. Oh, they're doing a transition, eh? Back to first officer.
Captain Solano should be here momentarily.
They're giving every chapter a name. I don't know if I like that.
You'll have to forgive me, I don't know much about Kobleods. But my understanding is you need a steady supply of duridium to keep your cell structure stabilized.
Oh, she's a Kobleod.
Start to happen. And we have plenty of duridium in sickbay, so there's no risk of running out.
Thank you.
That's what her
Free to make
ring is
yourself at
about.
home. And help yourself to whatever you like from the replicator.
We snoop around in the captain's ready room here. See what he's up to. And he's got freaking... What's he collecting? Isolinear chips? Just tossing them around? is that like... Is that his form of fidget spinner in the 24th century here? Or I guess... Yeah, I wonder when this is taking place. Is this still 24th century or are they into the 25th? Like in Picard. I don't know what year. Zachary.
I can't believe he keeps this around. Don't even know where mine is.
Jara Rydek. Last time I saw you, it was graduation from the academy. You'd already secured one of the most prestigious assignments possible. And you were burning with enough ambition to fuel 7 trips around the Necrit Expanse.
It's good to see you again, Captain.
I could not be happier to have you on the Resolute. My only regret is that we couldn't provide you with a warmer welcome. The arrival of a first officer to her new ship deserves a bit of fanfare. But, unfortunately, we've had our hands full with the refit.
That's enough for me.
That would be totally unnecessary. I don't need any pomp and circumstance.
You've been here all of 5 minutes, and already you're trying to make us more efficient. I like it. As I'm sure you've heard, we've had a rough go of it these last 6 months. The ship suffered some damage, but not nearly as much as the crew.
It was a malfunction.
I heard that you had an equipment malfunction.
Is that what they're calling it? No, that's just someone being generous. If anything, it was a leadership malfunction. We were on the verge of a major scientific breakthrough. A quantum leap forward in warp core technology. 10,000 teradynes per second. The ability to travel at a sustained rate of speed longer and faster than we ever dreamed. What would have been the crowning achievement of my career. Right there, within our grasp. Until it all went so horribly wrong. We pushed her too hard, and a warp core malfunction overloaded the system, creating a pressure gradient way beyond what the ship can handle. It was heartbreaking. We lost some of our best people. As captain, I have to take full responsibility. It was my decision to make, and I have to live with the consequences.
Crew knew the risks.
We all know the risks when we sign up. There are no guarantees. as much as we tell ourselves otherwise.
True. But as captain, my job is to mitigate and manage the risks as much as possible. And that's where I failed. In my defense, I will say, I might have avoided the whole ordeal if my senior staff had been willing to trust me. There was a lot of pushback from my former XO, and I think that cost me his confidence. I don't want you to pull any punches. Certainly not on my account. But once we decide on a course of action, I need everyone to fully commit to the mission.
Okay, Jellicoe.
That just won't work. And that's when things start to go sideways.
This is your ship, and you are the captain. So as far as I'm concerned, whatever you say, goes.
That's the kind of support I'm looking for. Look, I'll be blunt. We can't afford another mistake. Or at least, I can't. I feel like my career is hanging in the balance here. We need a win. Something to restore the crew's confidence.
I understand.
On a more positive note, Starfleet has tasked us with what they're calling a mission of the highest priority.
Everything's a mission of the highest priority.
Escorting a senior diplomat to Hotari space. Two previously peaceful and otherwise non-aggressive civilizations now find themselves on the brink of all-out war.
So it's a peacekeeping mission.
I see it as a golden opportunity to not only prove what the Resolute and her crew are truly capable of, but also a mission for which we're uniquely qualified.
We're a science ship.
Ionic storm.
Right?
Our long-range sensors suggested several orders of
Is that what they're...
magnitude stronger than anything on record.
So are they sending a science ship because of the ionic storm? Is that what they're... Is that how they're spinning this?
Hatari.
Because otherwise you would send a diplomatic ship.
Precise location where we're headed.
Right?
Where I imagine the interference will be exponentially greater. But the diplomat will brief us on the details of the rendezvous.
So basically, we're being sent into the eye of a storm, more powerful than anything on record.
Well, yes. But we're taking every precaution. But I don't want to get ahead of myself. I expect we'll have some rough sledding when we arrive, so I need you to prepare the crew for the worst. There's just one more thing I want to clarify up front. The metric that for me will be the ultimate measure of your success.
What is it?
If after serving as my first officer, you don't one day find yourself with a ship of your own, then I will consider it my personal failure. When that might happen is entirely up to you. But it goes without saying, you have my full support.
Thank you, but I feel like I still have so much to learn.
You'll have plenty of opportunity. And if you're willing to put in the work, I'll do everything in my power to help you along the way. Come, let me introduce you to the crew.
Okay. Couldn't hold the door open for a lady. There we go. This ready room isn't directly connected to the bridge, but it's down the hallway from it. Interesting layout.
Everyone, if I could have your attention for a moment. I'd like to introduce Commander Jara Rydek, our new first officer. Some quick introductions. This is Lieutenant Handar, our helmsman, one of the best in the business.
One of?
Oh, Bajoran.
What he lacks in humility,
There's a Bajoran.
more than makes up for in ability.
A pleasure to meet you, Commander.
Likewise.
Next, we have Commander Westbrook, our Chief Science Officer. I've come to rely on his expert counsel on a regular basis.
Pleasure.
Commander Rydek, it is such an honor to meet you.
This is our tactical officer, Lieutenant Bedrosian, who's been looking forward to meeting you for about as long as I can remember.
I've been following your career for quite some time, and I look forward to learning as much as I can from you.
It's very kind.
That's very kind of you to say. I'm happy to be here.
Well, I have to admit, one of the reasons I've followed your career is because you're part Kobliad, because of what you've overcome. Starfleet stands up for people who can't defend themselves. And you were one of those people once. But since then, you've done so much to protect others who need it. I really admire that. So, you've been something of an inspiration to me. Not that I've done anything close to what you've done, but you definitely set a standard to strive for.
Very flattering.
I don't know what to say. That's incredibly flattering, thank you.
I hope someday I can follow in your footsteps.
I'm sure you will.
And then, of course, you've already met Commander Ermont. Please, do everything you can to make Commander Rydek feel at home here. I'll be on the starbase.
These,
an urgent meeting with the starbase commander to get
these
our
peons back at the F consoles, you don't need to know their names.
The bridge is yours.
Sit in the captain's chair when ready. Okay.
Commander, Chief Engineer Chovak needs to lower the structural integrity field. He's sent a crew out to recalibrate the emitters in response to the danger posed by the storm. We just need your go-ahead.
Permission granted.
Lowering structural integrity field, now.
Entering maintenance mode. Condition blue.
Okay.
The storm is getting worse.
Looks like they turned off the SIF.
Great. Let's get to that emitter.
Seriously, how far away did they get out of the airlock? They couldn't find an airlock closer?
Every time we're out here, I half expect to see her in pieces again.
She's still got some scars on her. It adds character.
When I joined Starfleet, all I wanted was a ride out of town. But this isn't exactly how I pictured it.
On the outside of the ship?
No. Sometimes it feels like we're just part of the machinery. Don't you want more than that?
You're lower deckers. You got
Starfleet is
time yet.
noble and all,
Jesus.
but it's still a machine. A massive, massive machine.
Of course I do.
Yeah, of course I do. Starfleet's an open door. We just have to walk through it. You wanted to get away.
Also, you're petty officers. You're not even enlisted.
I didn't want to wait years just to get out. And
Like,
see
what are you expecting? Go to freaking officer candidate school and get your commission. Jesus.
Look at a sky no one's ever seen before. Just because I'm cranking a hyperspanner up in a Jeffries tube today doesn't mean that's all I'll ever be.
Or hell, just get in the transporter room. Be the next O'Brien.
Acknowledged.
The most important man in Starfleet. Alright, calibration tool.
Beginning recalibration.
2 nodes to center the circular indicator. 2 nodes to center the circular indicators.
Looks good. That wasn't so hard.
Commander Westbrook, right? Chief Science Officer.
You remembered my name and my rank. Impressive. Yes, I'm the Chief Science Officer, and I have the dubious honor of being the most senior officer on this bridge. I know this ship inside and out. Better than just about anyone.
So you're useful. That's impressive.
What a very impressive list of credentials.
This is a research and discovery ship first and foremost. Now with a former tactical officer as its new first officer. I'm curious, though. A Kobliad, or half in your case, is an odd choice for first officer, given your vulnerable condition and all. But if, as an example, we found ourselves in a hostile situation, and you were suddenly incapacitated because you needed an infusion, what would happen then?
Jelly? Turn to jelly?
You'd leave Captain Solano without an XO. Granted, that would be a worst-case scenario, but not outside the realm of possibility.
Thanks for your concern.
That's very kind of you to be concerned about my well-being. But you don't need to trouble yourself on my account. I'll be fine.
Well, I wouldn't say I was concerned, just curious, that's all.
Okay.
Listen, can I be blunt, Commander?
I see no reason to
Stop now, yeah, exactly.
Commander Sutherland, your predecessor, was one of the best first officers in all of Starfleet. His record was impeccable and his reputation was without equal. I mean no disrespect, but the shoes you're stepping into are almost impossible to fill.
I'm not trying to fill any shoes.
And he was one of my closest friends. So I can only hope that you'll live up to expectations.
I don't think I could ever replace Commander Sutherland. And it would be a mistake to even try.
Seeing as Captain Solano is on the starbase, let me give you an update on this ion storm we're flying.
You're trying to get into Enterprise? No, I'm playing her, actually. I'm trying to keep him at bay.
Tell you if the Resolute will shrug it off or if we're putting ourselves at risk.
Hey, Speed, how you doing?
If we learn more about its patterns, its nature, we can come up with a scientific countermeasure. Just a moment.
Try to get to his pants, yeah. Uh-oh. What's going on here?
We've got a massive energy wave inbound.
On screen.
Structural integrity field is off. Probably turn that back on.
Tracing its trajectory.
Starbase docking clamps are holding.
The storm's emissions are fluctuating, coming in waves. And if my projections are right, we're about to get hit by a wide-band burst of ionic energy. Like a tsunami.
I'm reading power abnormalities.
Red alert.
Aye. Evacuating main gangway and retracting.
Putting sensor visualization on screen.
With the structural integrity field shut down, we can't take a direct hit.
Time to impact. 1 minute.
Shield systems are severely impacted. We have limited protection.
I need every available solution. What are our options?
We can weaken the impact of the storm with a deflector pulse.
There's a better way.
I'm sending all auxiliary power to the deflector dish.
Send the aux power to the shields. We can't reactivate the entire shield bubble, but it's a directional threat. So we can orient all we have towards the wave. You have to believe me.
We only get one shot at this. We can't afford to get it wrong.
Shields up.
That's right, which is why we need to send power to our shields.
Petrosian, get those shields up.
Rerouting power to shields. Stand by. I need a heading. We've only got one shot.
Understood. On my command.
What am I doing here? There we go. Holding up. The sexism in that mission. Okay, mission failed.
Petrosian, get those shields
I was
up.
trying to figure out what the hell to do.
Stand by. I need a heading. We've only got one shot.
Understood. On my
Sexism
command.
in a nutshell.
Heading locked.
Raise shields.
We got people outside.
All hands, brace for impact.
What happened?
We have experienced a surge of radiation.
Oh, you don't say.
This radiation supercharged the plasma, forcing it to backflush through the system and creating a dangerous imbalance.
And you blow out every primary system on the ship.
Just tell us where you need us.
I need you to traverse the hull to the access port to recalibrate the port nacelle plasma regulator.
Guys, we have to run across the freaking ship again? The other side?
We've reached the first access point.
You like
Understood.
transport us
Do you
there?
see the override for the level 1 failsafe circuits?
I see it.
Engage the override. It should allow us to stop the EPS flow to the warp engine without triggering an automatic core shutdown.
Failsafe override engaged.
Are you sure? I am registering some crosstalk in the bypass circuit.
We need to route the signals so they don't interfere with each other.
Okay. I'm moving isolinear chips from one side to the other. Puzzles.
Diaz to Resolute. The failsafes are temporarily disabled. Moving on to the EPS regulator.
Heads up, Carter.
What is that?
One of the discharges coalesced.
We've got ball lightning here now.
I'm gonna try to disrupt it with my phaser.
Why to equip the phaser? Okay.
So we gotta climb up the pylon.
Not sure how
An up, but
a phaser would,
you know.
not cause plasma to go crazy, but okay. 452. Needs to not be in my way here. Now I'm regretting using the controller.
Are you alright?
Yeah. So took most of it. Snuck up on me.
That damaged your suit. Energy damage is down to 60%.
There you go.
We're at the regulator.
Physics be weird here, yeah.
Opening the access panel.
And now halting the EPS flow to the port nacelle. We have little time before it causes an overload in the engine. You must work efficiently.
EPS manifold adjusters reset to neutral.
I love how the manual override is just a crank. Move, grab, control. R. There you go.
EPS lines to the port warp engine are back in balance.
Yeah, kind of.
Almost done.
They're a little bit off.
Once I cycle the manifold nozzles, Chovak can...
Let's not talk about it. Let's do it. Oh, the docking. Oh, that's going to destroy the paint job. How does a docking clamp just spontaneously explode?
Bridge! We
Jesus.
just lost the docking clamp. We've got a lot of debris coming down. All vibrations, too. We can't finish the EPS regulation in these conditions. Please advise.
We have to release the ship from that other docking clamp or the hull will be ripped apart.
There's a problem. The clamps are supposed to disengage automatically in an emergency, but it's not working.
Not working.
What are our options?
Phasers.
The docking clamps are fitted with exploding bolts for an emergency release.
We've got crew out there. That'd be like setting off a bomb next to them.
Maybe there's another way.
Starbase is hailing us.
Put him through.
Resolute, the remaining mooring arm is failing. You need to disengage from the starbase now. The damage to the station will be catastrophic.
Our crew is out there.
We have crew outside and are looking for the
We
safest
have
way
people
to...
on this station. If that mooring arm breaks, we could lose dozens of crew.
Commander, hear me out. Reverse the polarity of the hull, which theoretically will repel the docking clamps.
And repel the engineering crew right off the hull into the storm.
This is Captain Solano. Put me on screen.
Go ahead. Captain, we have a situation.
Commander, what are you doing? Blow the bolts on the docking clamp.
The captain doesn't know the whole story.
I'm giving you an order. Chara?
Trust me.
Captain, you brought me here because you trusted me. Can you trust me now?
You better be sure you make the right decision.
The captain made himself quite clear.
They're gonna get hammered with debris out there. Reverse the polarity.
There is protocol.
And there are lives.
Starbase, stand by. We're gonna flip hull polarity to disengage the clamps.
Yes, Commander.
Repair crew, this is Acting Captain Jara Ryder. Be advised, we are going to reverse hull polarity to free us from the remaining docking clamp. Tether yourself and deactivate your boots on my mark.
Understood.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Mark!
Ah!
Grab my hand. I got you.
Thank you.
Plasma imbalance is reaching critical condition. We are moments from primary system failure.
I got it.
Come on. Why would this be hard to spin? You're in space. There's nothing to resist you. Left stick and right stick. Oh boy.
Look out!
I got you.
She got it.
Petty officer
Bump on the
Edsel is
noggin.
hurt and unconscious. I'm gonna have to tow her back to the airlock.
Why would you
Mr. Diaz,
don't...
the situation has changed. You are at risk of triggering a substantial electromagnetic arc to approach the main hull the way you came.
But Commander, the way we came is the nearest airlock.
There is an auxiliary hatch near you on the far end of the pylon. You must bring Miss Edsel there to access the interior.
Roger that.
Why? What's wrong with the transporters? You know exactly where we're at. Just beam us directly into sickbay.
I'm at the auxiliary hatch.
Yeah, let's stand around and look at the thing instead of getting inside. Because that'll really help.
You go first.
What?
Let me save your neck this time.
For crying out loud, just go.
No time to fight me on this. Get in there.
Come right after.
You better be right behind me.
Oh, she really jammed it in there, huh?
We're in.
They're safe, bringing the SIF fully online.
Do it.
I'm gonna get chewed out by the captain now because I told him to screw off. I know more than him.
Carter!
I'm okay. But that's a lot.
Here, let me help you.
Yeah, I mean, let's just stand there and look at her. Oof.
Medical. We've got one wounded at my location. Millie.
Oh, man.
We'll see you at sickbay.
Damn. Got a hell of a tattoo now.
Status report.
The repair crew made it inside. EPS flow is back to nominal levels. The SIF is back up.
How does this affect mission readiness, Mr. Ermot?
Releasing the docking clamps using hull polarity minimized damage to the Resolute. We'll have some last-minute repairs to make, but if we reapportion some of the staff, we can make our departure on time. As of now, however, we are successfully moored to the station.
Good to hear. Send updates to my ready room. Commander Rydek, with me.
Yeah, he's gonna chew us out just because we told him off.
You disobeyed my orders. Well?
It was the right decision.
Respectfully, Captain, I made the right choice given the
You
information I had.
disobeyed my orders! And not just in front of the bridge crew, but the Starbase staff as well. That's going to get around. My name's already tarnished around the fleet. But what is it going to do to my credibility on this ship? From the top to the bottom. Bridge to lower decks.
You didn't have the facts.
Maybe I shouldn't have disobeyed a direct order, but you were wrong. You weren't on board, and you didn't have all the information. So I made the right decision for the ship. If you're worried about your credibility, put your ego aside and trust your crew. Trust me.
You might have won some fans on the bridge with that stunt, but not everyone. Lieutenant Commander Chovak has already bent my ear.
I'm sure he doesn't take it personally. He'll get over it in time.
Mr. Chovak is more complicated than he would want to admit. I guess we all are.
Why was Chovak not on board?
If I'm being honest, I'm not sure what I would have done in the moment either. You never really know if you weren't in those shoes. So, let's just boil it down to you did what you had to. That'll have to be good enough for me.
Thank you for understanding, sir. I'm sure no one knows the burden of command, as well as you do.
I'm sure you will, someday.
Yeah, I don't like throw the lives of my crew away. Jesus.
So if you'll fetch Mr. Ermont, we'll knock out the final details of any outstanding repairs, and then we'll set out for Vatari.
Yes, sir.
As much as I called him Jellico when we first started, he's definitely got his own problems. And they're not what Jellico had.
All departments reporting full mission readiness. We've got our full complement on board.
This is my favorite moment, right now.
The start of a new mission is always full of possibility.
The Orion Syndicate could sell it as a drug.
Don't let the Admiralty hear you say that.
Captain on the bridge.
Sit. Sit, everyone. You all know, I'm not big on speeches. We're embarking on the first mission since our refit. Let's make it a good one. Disengage docking clamps.
Docking clamps released.
Thrusters ahead, Mr. Handar.
Okay. Very good. Yeah, there. Oh, man. Did we leave some cargo pods on the hull?
Set a course for the Vatari system. Prepare to go to Warp 8.
Aye, Captain.
You know what? You take this one.
Me?
Do it, engage me. Oh, come on. Engage. The worst.
Engage.
The worst lines. Do it. Yeah. Warp 8. Do it. Or make way.
Simple, but effective.
I mean, come on. Who wouldn't say engage?
Easy. Thank you. I'm fine. Really,
You don't look so good.
You haven't been keeping your ring going.
I have to get to sickbay.
Go.
Commander, help me get her inside.
Yeah, let her fall on the floor too while you're at it. That's going to help the diagnosis. You're like 5 feet away. You couldn't have caught her?
Well, that was quite a scare. A few minutes more and it would have been one of the shortest tenures on record for a first officer.
Is that the engineer that was out on the hull?
That storm did a real number on her, but she'll live. Just needs rest. You should worry about yourself. Your deridium levels got dangerously low and destabilized your cell structure.
This is definitely one of the more memorable first days I can think of.
My name is Dr. Aram Duval, Chief Medical Officer. To be honest, I've never met a Kobliad before. You're
rare. I know.
I was going to say special. Your people's numbers have dwindled, despite the Federation's efforts to find a more readily available alternative to the deridium you need to survive. Yet you joined Starfleet, and manage to thrive. I imagine the responsibility must be overwhelming. Maybe even a burden at times.
No, it's an honor.
It does make me unique, but it's not a burden at all. I'm honored to be Kobliad, to represent my people.
As you should be. And don't worry, I won't treat you like a science experiment.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad I'm not a hamster on a wheel.
To Solano.
You don't agree with his methods?
I don't agree with his definition of acceptable risks. Not when the lives of your crew are at stake. My professional opinion is that the accident took a toll. More than he's willing to admit. He's overstressed, operating in the pressure cooker of his own mind. Which is never a good headspace when the lives of your crew are at stake.
Don't we have a counselor on board? Oh, I forgot. Counselors are useless.
Now he's even further away from the thing he's been chasing his entire career. Breakthrough discovery. The major innovation. Something he can put his name on. But the more the time passes and the further out of reach it gets, the more risk he'll be willing to take. People become blinded by their own ambition. I've seen it happen before.
I hear you. But that's my job, isn't it? To make sure that doesn't happen. And we don't lose sight of the bigger picture.
Which is exactly why I'm so glad you're here. We need you now more than ever. And I have to give you credit for what happened on the bridge. It took guts to defy a direct order.
Huh. I guess word travels fast around here.
It's a small ship. And everyone's curious about the new XO. Fortunately, your cell structure is almost completely stabilized. And I'll spare us both the lecture, but I do feel it's my responsibility to remind you, without regular infusions of Duridium, you will not live. It's as simple as that.
Understood.
Then, my work here is done.
Lieutenant Bedrosian.
I came to see if you were okay. We were all pretty worried on the bridge. No one knew what was happening.
Oh, thanks for coming.
I'm feeling much better. Thank you. It's just part of who I am.
You don't have to explain to me. I understand. I'm just glad you're okay. You trusted me earlier with the shields, and I appreciated that. I want you to know that I have your back.
Thank you.
Complete the diagnostic sequence, and this shuttle will be cleared for service.
Yes, sir.
Storm in the Hotari region will interfere with our transporters, so we need all available shuttlecraft in working order.
Excuse me, Commander Chobot.
Petty Officer Maris, I will leave you to your work.
I stopped by sickbay and saw Nilly. I figured you'd want to know.
How are her injuries?
Did the doc get her fixed up?
She's stable. But there's something about the storm's radiation that's making it hard to heal the energy burns.
That doesn't sound good.
She's toughing it out.
Oh boy.
Dr. Duvall said she'll be back.
They really didn't mix the sound in this area well, did they?
Come on. I have to run the final diagnostic.
Dialogue's getting drowned out by all the ambient.
I can't stay long. I've got a long to-do list before we get to Hotari, and things are piling on faster than I can check them off. We're making all our last-minute checks and security, too. Tactical and security are short-staffed.
We'll be ready.
Well, nothing's ever 100%, but we'll be good to go.
And if you wait until you are ready, it's probably too late. Which is why I didn't want to wait for just the right time. I had a chance to think about this while I was away. Then you and Nilly almost got killed out on the hull. And I thought it was important that I just come out and tell you. Instead of tiptoeing around it. Or worse.
Are you okay?
Miranda, is Everything all right?
Yeah, I'm fine. Maybe even better than fine. What I'm trying to say is, we've been really good friends for a long time. But I got back here and I couldn't ignore it anymore. I want to see if there's more between us than just being friends.
Are you sure? I mean, they would have him say, "Are you sure?" That would be the thing. But I'll just say, I feel the same way.
You don't have to explain it. I feel the same way. There is something between us.
So, do you want to find out what that something is? If it's there
I
for
mean,
you,
a redhead?
and
Of
it's
course.
there for me.
Absolutely.
Are you kidding me? I just said yes.
I wanted
Hey,
to make
Shin.
sure I heard that right.
So far so good. The
These are uncharted
it's
territories.
the gameplay is very much a Telltale game, so it's there. It's not the greatest ever, but the story is actually decent, and the you know and the dialogue choices and everything are pretty good.
I've seen how
So far so good. Story wise, it seems pretty good.
I'm glad to.
So whatever happens next is great with me.
Level 1 diagnostic complete.
I have to get back to that to-do list. They're probably looking for me.
Can't blame them.
I'll be seeing you.
Okay, no problem, Shin. Thanks a lot. Thanks for hanging out. Cast adrift.
Approaching the rendezvous point outside Atari space.
Helm, bring us out of warp.
Dropping to impulse.
Whoa, that's a lot of rocks.
Ionic interference surging, Captain.
Shield integrity holding. We can take it.
We are at the correct coordinates to meet the shuttle.
Commander Rydek, find us our diplomat, if you will.
Aye, Captain. Let's reduce the noise. Filter out environmental signals. I can manually tune what's left for Federation signal types.
Okay. 123 meters ahead. And he seems to be drifting.
I've located the shuttle. Opening comms.
On screen.
That's probably not
Shuttle
good.
to Resolute. Shuttle to Resolute. Debris field. Lost maneuvering.
From the Excelsior.
I can't get it any clearer.
We won't get a transporter lock. It's just not happening.
Power up the tractor beam. We'll pull them directly into the docking bay.
Well, tell me the tractor beam's not working.
You good to run the tractor emitter?
Yes, sir.
Oh, they need someone to run the emitter. Okay. I was like, tell me the tractor beam's not working, and now I gotta fix it.
First thing, lock onto the shuttle and stabilize the rotation.
Okay. There we go. The Shuttle Grayson from the Excelsior.
We're pulling in debris.
I'm on it.
Use a tractor beam to deflect the asteroid. Go. That was a little bit close. Now what? Oh no, right behind it.
Take out the shuttle. There's the bridge. There's a large piece of debris headed for the shuttle. The tractor beam can't handle it.
Can our shields take it?
I believe so.
Commander Rydek, plot an intercept course.
On it.
Okay. There we go.
Here we go. Maneuvering thrusters bearing 53 Mark 17, 200 meters on an intercept course.
Maneuvering.
Why aren't we using the phasers?
Got it.
Whoa! Someone's working hard on the bridge.
Okay.
We got the shuttlecraft on board.
Good job. We're on our way down to meet them.
Terra firma, so to speak.
Ambassador Spock.
Ambassador Spock. The captain will be right down to meet you, sir.
In that case, I will wait for him here.
Awkward. Welcome aboard.
Well, let me be the first to say, welcome to the Resolute, Ambassador.
Thank you, Petty Officer...
Carter? Carter Diaz. Sir.
I am pleased to meet you, Petty Officer Carter Diaz. It appears I have you to thank for my safe arrival. Your assistance arrived not a moment too soon, if I may say so.
You're very welcome, sir. I'm glad we could get you here in one piece.
Indeed. We thought we were prepared for our arrival in Hotari space, but it is evident my craft was not sufficiently robust for such intense ionic activity.
The storm has been pretty intense.
There was an element that was most unusual. Before you came to our aid, our maneuvering thrusters and impulse engines were rendered inoperable. So we attempted a short traversal at warp speed, only to find that we could not achieve warp at all, even though our diagnostics computer showed no faults or anomalies. What do you make of that? When all indications say that warp speed is possible, but in practice, we find it is not.
Faulty computer?
Well, onboard diagnostics can be wrong. I can take a closer look at your shuttle systems to get to the bottom of it.
I would appreciate that.
Take readings, run some additional diagnostic checks, and we'll get to the bottom of this.
Quite logical, Petty Officer Diaz. Thank you.
Ambassador Spock.
Excuse me.
I'm honored to have you aboard. I'd like to get right to it. We're already behind.
The old petty officers scoring points with the brass. Yeah, gotta do it. Gotta do it.
Ambassador Spock, my senior staff. It's not every day that a captain gets to welcome a Starfleet legend aboard.
You flatter me, Captain Solano. But legend implies the past tense, whereas I am very much focused on our present circumstances.
I didn't mean to suggest you were stuck in the past. You're right, Ambassador. Not the most diplomatic choice of words.
We need your experience.
Your experience comes from the past. But our present situation calls for it.
True enough.
We were hoping you could fill us in on the details. We got the basics from Starfleet. 2 formerly peaceful neighbors are now on the brink of war.
Indeed, and the tension between them grows fiercer by the hour.
The actor that got to do Nimoy's voice, doing a pretty good job.
Illydians are the more advanced species. They made first contact with the Hotari over a century ago. This is Tau, the Hotari moon. It is rich in dilithium, and for decades, the Hotari and the Illydians have shared a mining operation there. The Illydians provide the technological resources, while the Hotari have served as the labor force. The stability of that arrangement was the source of their peace, until recently. The Hotari have suddenly and forcefully seized control of the mining operations and expelled the Illydians from their system. That is the official story, as told by the Hotari when they requested Federation mediation. But the details remain scant. Communications between all parties have been limited by the ionic interference.
Have the Illydians retaliated?
Have the Illydians retaliated against the Hotari? Or taken any action against them?
Surprisingly, they have not yet responded in kind. They were open to a Federation presence, but it is unlikely the relatively primitive Hotari forces would stand a chance against the Illydian fleet in open war. Left unchecked, this conflict will result in more bloodshed, which is what we are here to prevent.
And the dilithium trade hangs in the balance.
Oh, of course.
Clearly the Hotari have been exploited in this relationship.
Maybe we can persuade them peace is the more profitable alternative for everyone. They both profited from the mines. And for the Hotari, something is better than nothing. Peace is our objective, after all.
That is correct.
If we could convince them, it would restore the peace. But we would need the Hotari to accept a difficult compromise.
Made all the more difficult by the emotions flaring on both sides, no doubt.
Neither the Illydians or the Hotari are members of the Federation, so we can't make them do anything.
There is an additional complicating factor I should mention. In the past, the Federation has relied on the Illydians as a source of dilithium.
That certainly changes things.
Federation sources its dilithium from a lot of places.
Yeah, and this is one of them.
That means the Hotari have no reason to trust us.
I wouldn't go that far, Commander.
We are completely neutral in this matter, on neither one side nor the other. Any suggestion otherwise would compromise our position. Given the Federation's involvement in the Iridium dilithium trade, Captain Solano and I must make every effort to appear neutral in these negotiations.
What worries me is if this whole thing unravels, and we're at the mercy of the storm at less than full strength.
We can't let it come to that.
Considering what the Ion Storm has done to our ship, and the Ambassador's shuttle, we have to assume the Illydian fleet has had problems with it as well. This recent surge in the energy disturbance temporarily levels the playing field.
Commander Westbrook is correct. The energy anomalies around the Hotari systems have been noted in the past. But they have never been observed on the orders of magnitude we have seen in recent weeks.
That may answer why the Hotari were able to strike back after so long. They finally had an opportunity, and they took it.
That would also explain the Illydians' restraint.
And reason to learn as much about the energy anomaly as we can while we are here. We do not want to be caught at a disadvantage of our own. So I trust we understand our circumstances.
We're operating on a strict timetable here, and we're going to be leaving for the negotiations shortly. Commander Westbrook, I want you to leverage our systems to investigate the anomaly from here while we're gone.
Aye, Captain.
Thank you all.
Dismissed.
I want to speak to both of you privately.
Ambassador Spock, I'd like to make a formal introduction. My first officer, Commander Jara Rydek.
Commander, as you are aware, there are limits to what Captain Solano and I can do in our official capacity as representatives of the Federation. But someone in an unofficial capacity, your first officer, for example, would not be bound by those restrictions. Commander Rydek could ingratiate herself to certain parties behind the scenes, where they may be more candid in revealing information that could lead to a resolution.
She certainly goes her own way.
Yeah, I'm not a diplomat.
That helps in this case.
With all due respect, Ambassador, I'm not a trained diplomat.
That's exactly what we're going to leverage.
I began my time in Starfleet as a science officer, not as an ambassador. We must be adaptable in the line of duty.
Well, I hope Commander Rydek will have more luck finding out what really happened than we will through official diplomatic channels.
The fate of the negotiations, the interests of the Federation, and the prospect for peace may very well depend on it.
What's going on with the subtitles? We're getting selective subtitles now? Like they forgot a couple. The fate of the galaxy hangs in the balance. Alright. As it usually does.
Mr. Diaz, I understand you have already discussed the warp drive failure with Ambassador Spock?
I have.
It is imperative that the Ambassador's shuttle be flight ready. I need you both to ascertain the root cause of the system failures he encountered.
I'm surprised, Commander. I thought you would have wanted to work on Ambassador Spock's shuttle yourself.
I respect the Ambassador and his many accomplishments, but I do not derive any satisfaction from interacting with his shuttle as if it were somehow transubstantiated through its association with him. Especially when I have the entirety of this starship to concern myself with.
I want to do it.
I'm not the chief engineer of this shuttlecraft.
The Ambassador asked me to take a look, and I'm ready to crack this thing open.
Good. You could learn from Mr. Diaz's focus.
I'll take notes.
Then I will leave you to it. Make note of any abnormalities in your report. Carry on.
Jeez.
One nice thing about Vulcans, Chovok is the only person who didn't look at this and treat me like I was something to pity. Doc says I should get used to it.
Sorry.
Doesn't mean I want to be reminded of it every minute of the day.
I'm sorry I went first.
Now that sounds like self-pity, and I'm even less interested in that.
But Nilly... Okay.
Let's just crack the shuttle open and see what we're dealing with.
Ready to go?
All set. Let's run the diagnostic.
Alright, diagnostics. Begin diagnostic. Everything's okay.
So, I know about your talk with Miranda.
You do?
Of course they
She
talk.
sent me a Priority 1 dispatch right after your conversation. I'm happy for you. Both of you.
Thanks.
But I'm only going to tell you this once. Don't screw this up. Because I would be very unhappy if you tried this out and then, I don't know, 6 weeks or 6 days later, I have to start splitting holidays between the two of you. All because things went south and you're not on speaking terms.
Have some faith.
That just isn't gonna work for me.
You really don't believe in me, huh?
It's not you. Or her. Just running the numbers, and things don't work out more often than they do. I like my friends, and I like our group. I don't want to lose that. Is that thing done yet?
Yeah, it's wrapping up. Let's see. The relays along the primary EPS are blown. The backup relays are all intact.
An EPS overload from the warp drive could cause that. But how did the shuttle end up dead in the water?
Huh. Well, maybe the ship's data recorder can tell us something.
Okay.
Here.
They were only about 8 minutes from their plotted warp point. No faults, just those warnings. What are they?
Subspace variance.
Subspace variance out of tolerance.
Go ahead and read it.
What does that mean?
It means the main navigation array lost sight of space somehow.
Will the array going offline cause that?
Yes, but it should have also thrown a fault code.
Well, I mean, it says 93224 there. Wouldn't that be a fault code? Warp cascade failure.
There was a complete warp cascade failure.
Wow. They're lucky the shuttle didn't turn inside out.
Makes me think the computer panicked on the warp field equation.
Had a kernel panic on the warp calculations? Oh, that's interesting. Warp field inversion.
The warp field became inverted suddenly.
I've seen this happen when the center warp coil cracks.
A cracked warp coil throws a fault code.
Still, we should take a look. Any one of these failures should have thrown a fault.
If it was caused by a system failure.
None of this caused the relays to blow. Roll forward to when that happened.
Yes, ma'am.
So here, they take a moment to get their bearings and they attempt to re-engage the warp drive.
There. That's the relays blowing.
Alright, EPS subsystem there.
And look, there's another warp system alert.
Okay.
They're all the same. Subspace variance out of tolerance, or warp inversions. Finally, there's a complete warp cascade failure.
Then it's one of two things. Either a warp coil is cracked, or the navigation array is offline.
That makes sense.
Yeah, but the...
Divide and conquer. You want to check the warp coils or the navigation array? I'll check the other. Let's not overcomplicate this.
I'll take the navigation array.
One of these systems is likely broken.
I'll check the navigation array.
But... So... The navigation array has to use... I imagine has to use stars to do its plotting, right? So if it just lost the ability to look at the star field, then it wouldn't know where the hell to go, right? I mean... And if you've got a freaking ion storm knocking things crazy, like, wouldn't that be the cause? Your tricorder can record and analyze data. Looking through it will reveal the unseen. Use X to equip and holster your tricorder. Use right trigger to scan glowing objects. You must be close to some objects to scan them. Watch the frame of the screen to see if you're too far away. Okay. Got some hull fractures here. Probably not great. What do I have to do? Right trigger to scan. I'm trying to scan. There we go. Some objects you scan will activate a deep scan. During a deep scan, use left bumper and right bumper to switch between different scan modes and search for glowing objects. The mode indicators on the tricorder will blink if there's an object to find in that mode. When you have scanned all the objects, the frame will change color. Hold left trigger to analyze the data and finish the scan. LB and RB to switch between different scan modes, search for glowing objects. The mode indicators on the tricorder will blink if there's an object to find in that mode. Okay. I think I understand what you're saying. Sensor filters. Shuttle subspace sensors are vulnerable to backscatter interference from other internal systems. Filters help attenuate the radiation, keep the sensor data clean. 3 anomalies. Isolinear fields, isolinear circuits powered to subspace sensor array are functioning normally. Alright. How do I get out of that?
Navigation array checks out, so it must be a coil.
Except it's not. Checked and double-checked.
Well, the readings don't lie.
Here comes the security detail for the way team.
Time to not be distracted.
Hey.
I'm not here.
I'm not here.
We're escorting the negotiating team to the surface as soon as they come down from the bridge. I don't want to interrupt some important work. I was just hoping to see you before I go. The captain and the others will be here any minute now. Should be an interesting ride down to the surface.
Always time for you.
Come on, I'm never too busy to make time for you.
That's not true.
No, but I am glad you came by.
Now that's more accurate.
I gotta be precise with you, huh?
Hey, Maris. Aren't these those button pushers you're always hanging out with?
And you're the phaser jockeys we always beat in Parisi squares, right?
Aren't these the nerds?
All aboard for Hotari.
That another one of the captain's railroad things?
Gotta be. I just usually zone out by the time he gets to the whole steam engines were the warp drives of their day part. Catch y'all later.
You don't
Well,
want to miss your train.
Hopefully they're... At least they're not taking the shuttle we're scanning anyway.
I do have to go. Not gonna lie, I'd rather not leave right now. More important things.
Come back safe.
Do me a favor. Come back safe.
Deal.
Yeah, you're on duty. You can't be like...
Be seeing you.
You can't be like, smooching right now. Gotta save that for later.
Diaz. If you could float back down to reality, we still have a ways to go. All right, where were we?
So, the warp coils in the navigation array are fine, but the nav computer doesn't seem to think so.
I'm out of ideas short of field stripping the shuttle from bow to stern.
You wanna take this out of the shuttle and throw it on the bench?
Oh, real hands-on maintenance. I like it. Okay, the nav computer is patched into the ship.
The ship's computer can double-check our work. If the shuttle's nav computer is putting out false data, we'll know it.
Let's run through the shuttle's logs again.
I really wish the subtitles weren't selective. They were doing really good for a while there.
Same. Warp field inversion and a cascade failure. However, the Resolute computer doesn't show the same subspace variance.
We're in the same conditions that the shuttle was in when it failed. Why wouldn't the ship's computer get a matching result?
What if the subspace variance was a momentary occurrence?
That's a possibility, and it would explain why the simulation under our current sensor readings failed to reproduce the issue.
To the holodeck.
A subspace anomaly strong enough to cause a warp field collapse would leave graviton ripples for days.
Let's run with the momentary subspace variance theory for now. Roll forward to the shuttle's attempt to re-engage the warp drive. We need the conditions of space around the shuttle at the moment of warp failure.
Resuming simulation.
Okay. The monkey presses the right stick.
Error in warp field calculation. Cochrane formula variables are out of range.
Oh, divide by 0. That's not good.
Shuttle sensor data from that moment.
Computer, why did the warp field calculation fail?
Warp field pressure returned non-orthogonal. Results are undefined.
That doesn't help.
Wait.
Yeah,
what if we use a different ship?
Your freaking computer divided by 0. That's what happened.
Instead of the shuttle.
Yeah. It should warp just fine.
Or it tried to, and it got an imaginary number and it didn't know what the hell to do with it.
Run the simulation with the Resolute.
Resolute simulated.
Computer, give me manual control on the warp power.
Static field intensity, warp 1.1. 1.2. warp pressure is destabilizing. Error in warp field calculation. The warp drive has experienced a system-wide cascade failure. Warp field collapsed. Subspace variance is out of tolerance. Cochrane formula results are undefined.
Bingo.
What-o?
The same moment when the shuttle failed to warp, so did the ship. Whatever happened to the shuttle just happened to us. The Resolute will not sustain warp.
We can't leave Hotari space.
Fade to commercial. Alright, so we can't sustain a warp bubble. Well, although from that calculation it seemed like we could sustain warp 1 at least. But obviously that's not going to get us very far. This is interesting.
Ambassador Spock, Captain Solano, welcome to Hotari. We are honored you've come. My name is Tylos Altaris, Minister of Diplomatic Affairs.
The honor is ours, and this is Commander Jara Rydick, first officer aboard the USS Resolute. You'll find she has a keen mind, and unique insight into the dynamics between the Hotari and the Illidians.
Nice to meet you.
It's very nice to meet you.
Likewise. I hope...
These must be the representatives of the mighty Federation. The reigning authority in the galaxy. Or so we've been led to believe. Whether that's true or not remains to be seen. But, either way, we're grateful you've made the time to come to our little corner of the universe.
And you are?
This is Galvin, and this is Sidron, the heroes of the revolt in the mines.
Brownie face. Oh, there you
go. Let's hope this is the last time we ever have to come here.
If you'll excuse me.
I think we're about to begin.
Did you hear the arrogance from that guy? I don't know what we're walking into here, but that guy was something.
That may be true. But let's keep an open mind going into the negotiations. Hopefully he's just one voice amongst many.
Then let's hope he's the outlier.
The Hotari have invited us as their guests, so we must show them the proper respect.
So deference shows strength. Deference?
Ambassador Spock, welcome to Hotari Prime.
The honor is mine, Your Majesty.
That the Federation would send one of their most respected representatives is not only an honor to the Hotari people and their queen, but a recognition of our stature and importance.
Let's get on with it, shall we? With all due respect to the Federation and their ambassador, they have no authority here. We are not members of their alliance. We are not subject to their rule, nor yours. We demand the immediate return of all mining operations to Illidian control, as it has been for centuries and will be for centuries more. That has always been our understanding.
That understanding has changed.
Then you invite war!
And if you cannot remain silent, you will be silenced. But his point is well taken. What is the Federation's interest in this matter? Perhaps you would have us trade one oppressor for another?
The Federation remains neutral. Our only interest is the peaceful resolution of this conflict. We are here at your request, Your Majesty.
For now.
I'm trying to keep an open mind here, but it's not easy. I thought they wanted us here.
Tough.
Was there something you wanted to say, Captain?
Oh, no. My apologies.
And what about the Kobliad?
She's not
She
part
can
of...
speak for herself, can't she? Then let her.
Probably not a good idea to... Well, alright. Thought we'd get attacked by guards.
What is your name?
Commander Jara Rydek, Your Majesty.
Being a Kobliad, you would know better than anyone. Your people suffered brutal treatment at the hands of the Cardassians. Their injustice towards the Kobliad is as unimaginable as it is unforgivable. Not unlike how we have been treated by the Alidians.
As much as they'd have you believe they are the victims here, remember it was the Hotari who attacked us. Hundreds of innocent Alidians were slaughtered without mercy in those mines.
The blood is on their hands, not ours.
Quiet! If after all the Kobliad suffered, you finally had the chance to right that wrong, to get out from under their control, would you take it? Or would you negotiate a peace?
I would seek peace.
There is no remedy for what the Kobliad suffered, and I fear who we might have become in pursuit of it. There is no justice if the oppressed become the oppressor. So I would willingly accept a peaceful resolution if it were offered. That is the real opportunity.
Perhaps, Commander Rydek. Perhaps. Unfortunately, that was not the case, was it?
No, it was not.
Peace is often elusive to those who need it most. The Federation is the most powerful, most advanced alliance in the galaxy. It's widely known we have an abundance of dilithium in our mines. And it's in your interest to secure a steady supply.
Your Majesty, if I may.
Ambassador Spock would have us believe you're here as a neutral party in the interest of peace. So why are you really here? I want the truth, not your Federation rhetoric.
We only want peace.
As Ambassador Spock has said, we've come seeking a peaceful resolution to this conflict, and have no interest in your dilithium.
I'm not nearly as naive as you must think. The Federation has done business with the Alidians for decades, which makes me question your motives.
What they haven't said, but cannot deny, is a simple truth. The dilithium trade would not and will no longer exist without Alidian involvement. We created it for the benefit of everyone, especially the Hotari. We've given them warp technology. We've let them share in the profits. We've made their lives infinitely better than before dilithium was discovered. All of that goes away if the Federation turns a blind eye to their treachery.
That is enough of your lies! The Hotari are quite capable of running the mines. We've done so for centuries. So tell me, who deserves control of the dilithium trade and the mines on Tau? Who should the Federation recognize? The Hotari or the Alidians. You can only be one or the other, not both.
Oh, they don't. I was gonna let it run out in the thought that it would be like a hidden third option, but they're actually not giving me a third option. Really. This is weird, because this does not feel earned, right? Like, this is... Like it feels like we ran to the end of a chain really, really quickly here. And it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me that we did. And here's the thing. So, my thought process is to say the Hotari, because they have demonstrated that they can run the mines, and they should be in more of a position of power than they are right now. But I also feel like the game wants me to say that. And if I were to say the Alidians, that is probably the more correct one as far as like maybe the game designers want you to say. But that also means that you're vouching for the status quo, which at the same time is like you're saying you want peace, which has been the status quo, but at the same time you're completely dismissing the arguments of Hotari, which is not really going to maintain the status quo. So it's like one of these things where I feel like they haven't really set this up well. So for me, it's like a 50-50 shot, right? It's like I can't really say that, like, there's nothing. This is my problem with some things like this, is that when you don't properly set up the dialogue options prior to this, like, this has come completely out of the blue, right? And so this is one of those things where you just kind of have to flip a coin, because there's no way you could really figure out ahead of time. And maybe this is like one of those things where, like, well, this is replayability right here. You know, you're going to fail and then you're going to replay this chapter and pick the other one. And I'm like, it's kind of cheap. But then again, the other part of it is I could pick one of these and either she's not going to say anything at all, or it's not going to matter one iota what I pick. So I guess we'll just go with the Hotari here.
If I have to choose only one, then it would have to be the Hotari.
Well said. How could the just and wise Federation make any other choice?
This is an outrage. The Federation has lost all credibility.
The mines are ours. Lydia will not be deterred. We will take back our mines by any means necessary.
Then you will see more blood spilled.
I am more than willing to address your concerns, Your Majesty. Yours as well, Representative. But I suggest we could have a more productive conversation with a smaller group. Perhaps only the most essential representatives.
Spock coming in clutch.
I suppose there is some sense to that.
That was pretty shitty. They put us on the spot like that and they made her go through with it.
I hope we meet again, Jara Ryder.
But I am trying to... I mean, they did tell me to ingratiate myself with them. And that's the best way to do it, right? To find out what the hell the Hotari are up to. And what caused them to uprise.
Spock and I will cover everything on the diplomatic front. You make nice with the locals and see if you can get some answers. We need to find out why the Hotari are so willing to risk war. What happened in those mines?
Well, exactly. Well, now they're on my side, right? I should be able to get something out of them. Because I stood up for them there. But that's still a pretty shitty dialogue choice. Honestly.
Commander, I'm glad you've chosen to side with the Hotari. I knew the Federation would see through the Elydians' baseless claims and protect the interests of my people.
I'm not on either side.
To be clear, I'm not on either side of this conflict. Our only interest is peace.
I will keep that in mind.
I assume you were there, the day the mines were seized from the Elydians.
Not seized. Reclaimed. And restored to their rightful owners. Yes, I was there. We had to be decisive. Before the Elydians could even realize their worst nightmare was upon them.
Did you have help?
Did you have help from someone else?
Hotari stands alone against the Elydian forces. We don't need help from anyone. They respect one thing above all else, and that is force. The greater the force, the more certain the outcome. Any talk of making peace is just that, and worth little without the strength to secure it. Which makes me wonder about your ship, the Resolute. Undoubtedly the Federation's finest warship. Ready to contend with anything the Elydians might have in store. Or is that not true? Maybe I've misjudged it.
Science vessel.
It wasn't designed as a warship. More for scientific research and exploration.
But the Federation must have ships designed for war.
Technically, they're Starfleet ships representing the Federation. But yes.
I see.
Sidron.
A pleasure meeting you, Commander. I'm sure we'll cross paths again.
Was he respect strength and now he doesn't respect us?
Soothing.
Commander Rydek, I'm encouraged to see the Federation supporting my people. I'm afraid of what might happen without your help.
I'm glad to hear it. I just hope you're not the only one who feels that way.
I apologize for that. These are unusual times, to say the least. Much is changing. I saw you speaking with Sidron, our national hero. I'm curious, what did he say?
He seems to be of the opinion that negotiating for peace is a waste of time.
Because force is the only blunt instrument he understands. He's a miner, not a diplomat. For the first time in our history, the Hotari have the upper hand. We see ourselves as strong instead of downtrodden. New voices have risen up. Old voices shouted down. Galvin and Sidron have become national heroes. Now, they have the Queen's ear. Better or worse, depending on your perspective.
They're against peace?
I take it they're against a negotiated peace with the Elydians.
Heroes tend to want more of what made them heroic. If it were up to them, they'd wage all-out war and bring ruin upon us all. My fear has been that the Illidians will launch an attack and crush us. You've seen their starship, no doubt. They could have retaken the mines whenever they wanted to, but it never happened. And as strange as this may sound, I'd almost say they're afraid.
Afraid of what?
Just don't know what they're afraid of. It's still the same bluster and bravado you would expect from them. But it has no teeth. Like they're afraid of what might happen.
Do you think it has something to do with the ion storm? Right now, it's stronger than ever, isn't it?
It's entirely possible. I'm not a scientist, but I do know the storm has knocked out all kinds of systems. So maybe the Illidians weren't willing to risk their ships, given all the interference.
Or maybe...
Since the day of the revolt, Galvin has seized control of the mines and restricted all access. No one's allowed without his personal authorization. And they've taken over a section of the palace with just as much secrecy and security. I'm told it could be something they brought back from the mines. I've made inquiries, but everyone pretends it doesn't exist. I strongly suspect they're hiding something.
What is it?
What do you think it is?
I've heard rumors it's some sort of ancient artifact, but I haven't seen it myself.
How can we know?
I'd better see what's happening.
Do you think you can find out what they're hiding? I need to see proof of something before I can make my case to the Federation.
I can try, but even if I found it, I might not know what to make of it.
Take this. You can use it to capture whatever you find, and then send it to me.
Thank you. I will let you know what I find. And I look forward to our meeting again.
Sorry, I couldn't help but notice you were speaking with the Hotari this whole time. I figured in the interest of fairness, I should offer another perspective.
Of course.
I'm probably not telling you anything you don't already know, but these negotiations rely on the Federation's neutrality, as does any hope you might have for a supply of dilithium in the future. So, why you would choose to side with the Hotari escapes me. Without Illidian involvement, there is no dilithium trade. But clearly, you weren't aware.
Dilithium isn't my concern.
Of all my concerns, dilithium is not one of them. I could care less about securing a supply, now or in the future.
I'd be curious to know if the rest of the Federation shares your indifference. Major Sarlet Arminta, Special Attaché, Illidian Armed Forces. Pleasure to meet you, Commander. I have my issues with the Hotari, but I have to give them some credit. They know how to seize an opportunity. Inciting an uprising the same day as a massive, once-in-a-lifetime ion storm.
Our assumption was that this storm was just an anomaly.
Yes, a very convenient anomaly. At least that was what we were told. Of course, I wasn't there. But who am I to say otherwise?
What really happened?
Something tells me there's more to the story. So what really happened?
Well, the official story is that it was the storm that enabled the revolt. How else do a bunch of unarmed, unorganized miners seize control of an entire moon, much less thousands of mine? But I've talked to people who were there. They tell a different story. They say they're lucky to have escaped with their lives. That it was more than just the storm. That somehow the miners were able to harness the energy from the storm. I know it sounds crazy. I'm not even sure I believe it myself. But that's what they said.
It helps explain it.
You just answered your own question. How do a group of miners do something that in theory can't be done? That's how. Harnessing the storm.
But even if it's true. How does that even happen?
You tell me.
If you'll excuse me, Commander Ryder.
So, I had one theory and now I've got another. So, they say they found an artifact on the moon. Now, stands to reason that that artifact is somehow intensifying or causing this unprecedented ion storm, which made it so that the Hatari could, it probably knocked out the power on the moon. It allowed the Hatari to uprise without any weapons and stuff like that, and just sort of gain control. And then the thing that's weird, though, is that the other dudes, even though there's an ion storm going on, they still have superior technology, and they still could have, bombarded the mines from orbit. The fact that they haven't means that there is either something there that scares the bejesus out of them, like the artifact is sentient in some way, or and my original theory was that they wanted to incite the riot themselves so that they could, get further control. Like they would have an excuse, a scapegoat to go heavy-handed and take out the Hatari altogether. But now it seems like it's more of they're probably afraid of whatever, like there's probably some sort of entity attached to this artifact, and it's got them completely spooked, and that's why they called the Federation in, because they figure we're good at throwing red shirts at the problem and getting them killed. Hey, Saint Lady, welcome. All right, so report my findings to the captain. I'm doing good. How are you doing? How are you doing today? I'm enjoying some Star Trek, one of my favorite franchises. These guys don't want to talk. So am I supposed to go this way or the other way? I guess these guards will let me know.
Well, that was a disaster.
What happened?
The Hotari refused to concede anything, so the Elydians stormed out.
Losing days in a while. Oh, there you
The
go.
Hotari did not invite us here as peacekeepers. I hope your efforts were more fruitful than ours.
No. Okay. We're back to this.
Gravitational harmonics failing to resolve. Warp bubble stability degrading. Increase output to maximum.
Increasing warp output to maximum.
It's happening again.
A big old warp failed.
It is evident that presently the Resolute cannot achieve warp propulsion.
Since our diagnostics rule out any problems with our warp systems or anything about the ship, the problem appears to be the fabric of space itself.
Space itself? You're saying something about this region of space prevents warp travel?
Prevents it, or can't sustain it.
However improbable, that appears to be the case.
Might be the storm.
We need to know more.
The storm didn't stop us from leaving space dock and traveling here. But could it still be causing this interference with warp travel?
We must follow sound investigatory principles. Do not let an assumed conclusion drive your analysis.
Sometimes we need a little inspired thinking, Mr. Chovak. Captain Solano is on his way back from the negotiations, and I want to have some answers for him when he gets here.
Indeed. Given the facts at hand, we may be able to deploy subspace probes around the ship to construct a clearer picture of the phenomenon.
Around the ship. I'll prep a shuttle.
Okay. The old, what are these? Type 9 shuttlecraft? Type 7? One of those.
When we get there, I'll deploy the first probe.
Shuttle piloting. Fly the shuttle to your objective to complete a mission. Right trigger to fly forward. Left trigger to fly backward. R to turn. L to strafe. Storm will push your shuttle around. Stay focused and maintain your course. Okay. Yeah, he's pushing us around a bit.
Resolute systems are calibrated to receive the probe's readings. We are standing by to reproduce the warp field collapse after the first probe is deployed.
Thank you, Mr. Chovak. We'll be in position shortly.
And, Mr. Diaz, do take care in piloting the shuttlecraft. Now is not the time to indulge in the human penchant for joyriding.
Me joyriding a shuttle? Never, sir.
Such a fun guy to work for, huh?
I don't take it personally.
I just don't take it personally. At least I try not to.
That's a very mature answer. Shows a positive attitude on your part. Remind me of it when I start complaining to you about the ship's new first officer.
Okay. Far so good. There we go. See, they're using their transporter.
Transporting the first probe into position.
You telling me all this time we couldn't use transporters, and now we were going to use transporters for the freaking probes?
Westbrook here. The first probe is deployed.
Understood. We are reading it. We are about to replay the simulation.
Problem? I just can't get a handle on her. Commander Rydek. She rejected my plan to use a deflector pulse against the storm surge. But on the other, she did listen to my advice and use the whole polarity trick to get you through that excursion alive. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the new XO. I'm sure she's a fine officer, even if we don't see eye to eye. But she didn't go through what the rest of us did. You know that. And it's hard to figure out why she'd be the one Solano chose instead of, well, one of us.
Give her a chance.
I've heard some good things. You should at least give her a chance.
I'll take that under advisement.
Test is running. Warp field collapse in 3, 2, 1, mark.
Whoa.
What was that?
All right, that is definitely a problem with the fabric of space. We need to get another probe out there. With 2 points of data, the Resolute and the probe, we've managed to get an interference pattern. I'm setting a waypoint to a particularly strong area of interference. We'll deploy the second probe there. Listen, I'm gonna give you a piece of advice I wish someone had given me. Make sure you're never just one thing. And don't get so focused on what's in front of your face that you lose sight of the big picture.
A very good piece of advice.
The captain pulled me into his ready room and told me he didn't think I had the people skills to be first officer. What a load of crap. I mean, if he'd said that about Chovak, sure.
I appreciate the advice, Commander. I'll make sure I keep my options open.
I don't need to tell you how to operate. You're already well on your way. You're a capable engineer. You're good in the field. Keep up the good work, and who knows?
Solid jack of all departments like you could be Commander-in-Chief of Starfleet one day. Hell, Admiral Jellicoe started as a shuttle pilot. And there are places to go in the enlisted ranks, too. Of
Not a
course, if
bad
you get an
idea.
officer's commission, they'll put you on another ship.
You know, I'd be the best leader Starfleet ever had. Lower decks always have to fix all the problems Command causes. Maybe I'd just save everybody some steps.
Well, don't forget about us little people when you're running things.
Of course not. You gotta remember where you came from.
All right. All right, into the waypoint there.
Close enough.
Eases in.
Deploying the probe. Westbrook to Commander Chovak. We're ready for another sampling of data.
Very good. Running the simulation again. Warp field collapse in 3, 2, 1. On.
There it is again.
I saw it. It seems to be directional.
Well, what about the scans? Anything?
Here's the readings in relation to our local space. We've got the Resolute, Otari Prime, and the probes.
All this interference is overloading the sensor buffers. We're gonna have to triangulate the sensors manually.
Locate interference peaks. Okay.
We got something.
These markers indicate peaks in the gravimetric interference patterns.
Let's see if I can find some more.
Probably all around. Yeah, moving towards the planet, towards Tau.
This is coming from the moon.
Yeah.
Beam that blocks warp travel.
Aimed right at us.
Someone is doing this intentionally. I don't know how they're doing it. This is like nothing I've ever seen.
Why would they do that?
Why would they be doing this? We came here to help these people. And now we're getting hit by some warp-killing weapon?
Now, look here. It's our current readings of the ion storm.
These concentrations, they line up with the interference pattern. The storm and this beam, they're coming from the same place.
Carter, whatever petty local conflict brought us here, it's just a small part of something much bigger.
I think they got their music key swapped up there. That sounded more like a Star Wars music key than a Star Trek one.
Thank you, Mr. Westbrook. I want a full briefing when I'm back on board. Solano out. A targeted weapon that inhibits warp travel. Coming from the moon Tau.
That would explain the difficulties my shuttle encountered. More importantly, the tenor of the Hotari during the negotiations.
And here I thought the Elydians would be the problem. Coming to peace talks in a warship. This wasn't supposed to be so complicated.
The Elydians knew something was off.
For all their posturing, every indication is that the Elydians are afraid of the Hotari. They didn't bring their warship as a threat. They brought it because they're scared.
From everything we witnessed, I would say that is highly likely.
But what are they afraid of?
Tylus, the Hotari representative, said she thought they found something in the mines. Galvin and Sidron brought it back to the palace, but they're keeping it under tight security. She's going to investigate it. I gave her my tricorder. I expect she'll contact us soon.
You found an ally.
Why would Tylus help us? Go behind her people's back? It's a fair question, considering.
She doesn't like the way Galvin and Sidron have been manipulating the situation. And the Queen. Working with us to go around them isn't the same as betraying her people.
That may be true.
She's certainly more likely to help than the other Hotari we've met.
That raises another question. Specifically, What do the other Hotari have to gain in bringing us here, only to make this hostile maneuver against us? There must be some motivation.
Unless they changed their minds between when they asked and when we got here.
That's the thing. It doesn't make sense to bring us here. Tylus said that Galvin and Sidron have restricted access to the mines, even to the Hotari. So they don't want anybody to learn what they've found.
Then calling in the Federation is a funny way of going about it. I don't think the Elydians know what's really down on that moon either.
Major Armintus said the revolt defied explanation. That the Hotari miners somehow harness the energy of the storm.
Harness the energy of the storm?
Doing that is beyond even our capabilities.
So is a weapon that disrupts warp travel.
There have been civilizations and entities, both past and present, far more technologically advanced than the Federation.
The Elydians and Hotari don't fall into that category.
But that is all the more reason to investigate further.
Very interesting.
Commander Rydek, sorry to interrupt. We've received an urgent call from Hotari. The Queen's advisor, Tylus, has asked to speak with you.
Put her through.
Galvin and Sidron are still with the Queen. I've enlisted help to gain access to the room they have under guard. I don't have much time.
I'm not supposed to leave my post.
It's only for a moment. I so appreciate your help.
I found something. I'm sending you a scan.
Got it. Tylus, if we needed to gain access to the mines on Tau, is that something you could help us with?
I suppose it wouldn't be easy, but I have to go.
Tylus.
Can we reconnect?
Sorry, Captain. We've lost all contact.
We can only hope she escaped without harm.
It was hard to tell.
Tylus wouldn't have offered to help if she didn't know what she was doing.
That's a lot of faith in someone we barely know. Let's see the scan of whatever the hell that was.
Tylus suspects this came from the mines on Tau.
Like a control console.
Appears to be of ancient origin, but the markings are unfamiliar.
We can run a full analysis when we get back to the Resolute. But if this came from the mines, then it might be the key to how they got the upper hand against the Elydians.
Then we have to go into the mines.
The Federation would not allow that. We were, after all, sent here to be a neutral party in a peace negotiation. However, we could demonstrate that the Hotari have acted in bad faith, which would enable us to investigate the mines on Tau with full justification. But of course, we would need conclusive proof before taking action. Otherwise, it could put us in a difficult position.
The artifact is proof.
Whatever this artifact is may be proof enough. At least to satisfy the
I
Federation.
don't see how the Federation wouldn't be satisfied. They're holding us hostage.
The Hotari are controlling the warp disruption and targeting the Resolute.
We may have a better understanding once we analyze the device. But a mission to the mines, covert or otherwise, is not out of the question. And I will handle the Federation.
I mean, they're holding us in place with a thing that prevents us from using our warp drive. That is basically holding us hostage, right? So why would the Federation not care?
Even better than our pros.
Especially when we got Ambassador Spock on board.
Engine ISOs from the Melville when it sets down.
Will do.
We have to justify this to the Federation, like...
I'll join you and Chovak down in engineering.
Sure. I mean, it should be a pretty easy conversation.
I didn't like this warp problem when we thought it was some astronomical anomaly. And I like it a hell of a lot less now that we know someone is doing it to us. even do about it?
What do you say we pull these chips and find out?
Did some damage on the way. That ionic interference scored the hull plating. Might be some micro welds. Let's try pulling together.
All right.
3, 2, 1. It won't budge. Gotta be the storm damage. We need to...
Third person?
Welcome back. Any excitement down on the surface?
Excitement? No. Nothing like that.
Hey, can you hand me the EJ7 interlock? From the toolbox.
I don't know what that is.
Not much use for one on a security detail, huh? Carter?
Yeah, I'll get it.
Okay, I'll apply pressure while you decouple the panel.
Okay. This looks like a plasma cutter, though, not an interlock, but sure.
Here, I'll help.
Damn.
We've got this.
Open up and say ah.
Thanks for the hand. We have to get these isolinear chips down to engineering.
No problem. You really know everything about these ships, don't you? The tools, the systems. Like a walking Starfleet technical manual.
I don't know everything.
Well, I wouldn't say everything, but I know my stuff.
I can see that.
Come on, start pulling chips.
She wasn't very impressed by the fact that I didn't show off, apparently. Don't know if this relationship's gonna work. Alright, what chips do you want me to pull? All of them, I guess, huh? Okay. Oop. We're gonna find something. Oh, yeah, here we go.
What's this?
Some kind of crystal formation?
What we got here?
Whoa. This substance is a quantized spin crystallization of hydrogen, carbon, and lithium.
Zoom tight.
It's emitting tetrametric pulses at an interval of 3.8422 seconds.
Quantized crystallization isn't natural. I mean, it's only theoretical as a means to engineer matter on a subatomic level. What's it doing in there?
So it's replicated crystal. Okay. Yeah, let's touch the unusual crystal that caused all kinds of problems.
Regulation 364, subsection 9.
What?
Regulation 364, subsection 9 orders that in the case of an unknown foreign substance infiltrating a sealed system, it will be placed in secure confinement before further examination. Retrieve a containment module.
Don't you think we're more equipped to deal with whatever this is?
No. Before anything else, this is a security
Hey,
issue.
we have someone who's actually reasonable. Like, don't touch the thing that caused problems.
Once it's contained.
Just leave it there for now. Messing around with it could be dangerous. At least until we know more.
That's exactly why we need to get it to the containment lab. I can't make an exception just for you.
I'm still going to report these crystals to Commander Westbrook when we send the shuttle data.
And I will inform my superiors. I'm taking this just as seriously as you are. But I overheard talk about the warp disruption on the shuttle. Now these crystals? Maybe this situation is more than we can handle with just a science vessel.
I mean,
We could trigger a
it's
distress call.
fortuitous that we're a science vessel.
Ships. Or I could send a message to my old CO on the Adirondack. Get some combat-tested vessels. We shouldn't do this alone.
We're on our own here.
We're at the edge of the quadrant. Help isn't just gonna pop over like we're in Sector 001.
Wouldn't hurt to try.
You talk like you've never had your backs up against a wall before. This is Starfleet. We solve our own problems.
Okay, stand back.
We'll use some gloves or something. Oh, okay, transport, that works.
Get this to the containment lab. We'll get it.
Although it would have been funny if the transporter would have caused it to explode.
Oh, we'll be there.
Last thing you want is to study this down in main engineering and have it explode next to the warp core. Almost forgot.
Can't have that.
For a second, I thought she'd gone cold on you. Like she might have changed her mind. But I guess this whole situation has her spooked. Maybe she knows more than us? Or it's because this is all happening so fast? But she usually doesn't scare easy.
Now, you can't tell me you're not a little spooked, too. We all should be.
Believe me, I'm taking it seriously. But Miranda talking about sending a distress call on her own? That's going too far. She was probably just thinking out loud. I'm sure she'll come to her senses. This mission has enough complications stacking up.
Now, we'll get through it. You, me, and Miranda, too.
Commander Rydek was able to work behind the scenes during the negotiations and made contact with a representative from the Hotari delegation named Tylas. She mentioned an unusual artifact of unknown origin being held under tight security within the Hotari Palace, which she believes came from the mines on Tau. Now, this artifact might have a connection to the revolt, to the storm, and to the warp disruption we now know has been targeted at the Resolute. Commander Rydek, if you want to take it from here.
Of course. Tylas managed to infiltrate the heavily guarded location within the palace and sent us these scans using my tricorder. It appears to be some sort of control panel, possibly connected to the warp disruption weapon originating on Tau. Of particular interest is this symbol, which we couldn't identify the origin of.
The Federation database has records from a vast number of civilizations. If anyone from Starfleet has come across this before, the system should recognize it.
Cross-referencing with Federation records.
Displaying symbols from Federation database with a 90% probability of match or higher. Select a symbol to further analyze.
A matching symbol in the Federation database. No, it's gonna be... Obviously I've passed it. Doesn't look like it. This does look like it though. Eventually.
.2% match.
Got it.
Icon Empire.
So, what are we looking at?
The design and composition indicate this is a glyph associated with the ancient Takan Empire. Their civilization collapsed over 600,000 years ago, but once spanned millions of systems with a population numbering in the trillions.
Fascinating.
Millions of
The
systems.
Takan were once the most advanced, most powerful civilization in the galaxy.
Is it possible the Hotari found Takan technology?
I wonder if they even know what they have.
Our knowledge of the Takan is limited. I have only encountered passing references to them.
I can't speculate about how much they know, but one thing's for sure. They know how to use it.
Indeed.
Which might explain how they seized control of the mines.
And targeted us with a weapon that prevents warp travel.
Computer, what is the last recorded discovery of other Takan artifacts?
On Stardate 41386.4, the USS Enterprise D, under the command of Captain Jean-Luc Picard, discovered a Takan outpost in the Delphi Ardu system. According to the mission summary, an unbreakable energy-draining field was deployed against the Enterprise and a Ferengi ship. The Enterprise
Oh, that was the first encounter in TNG with the Ferengi.
known as Portal 6-3, Guardian of the Takan Empire.
Yeah.
Unbreakable energy draining field. It starts to make sense.
When Riker was
There's a lot here. Let's take it piece by piece.
Select the aspect you wish to learn more about.
the dude swung at Riker and he didn't flinch. That was season 1. Also had whatchamacallit, Armin Shimmerman, right? If I'm not mistaken, playing a Ferengi, although not Quark, playing just a random. That's also when they had the Ferengi. That was like the first time they did the Ferengi in TNG, and they were all like wildly out of character given how DS9 and everything redid them.
Someone from the Takan Empire is actually still around.
Or at least was, 16 years ago.
Computer, what other information do you have on Portal 6-3, Guardian of the Takan Empire?
The entity known as Portal 6-3 is of an unknown nature. A biped humanoid, he was unaware that the Takan Empire no longer existed at the time of the encounter. He was able to control the crystal-based technology of the Takan outpost through apparent telepathic means. It was by his choice that the Enterprise was released from the energy draining field after Commander William T. Riker of the Away Team argued on behalf of both Starfleet and the Ferengi.
Telepathic control of their technology.
As I have said, they were the most advanced civilization in the galaxy.
Okay. Delphi Ardu 4.
What sort of planet is Delphi Ardu 4?
Delphi Ardu 4 is an M-class planet, a barren rocky world with little to no vegetation and frequent ion storms. The giant crystals that grow there absorb energy, but it is not understood how they do so. The entire Delphi Ardu system, consisting of 11 planets, was considered completely uninhabited until the encounter with Portal 6-3.
Frequent ion storms. That can't just be a coincidence.
No. Well, the crystals are powered by ions, I guess. Starfleet restrictions?
There appears to be some sort of restriction order from Starfleet. Computer, explain this restriction.
A Starfleet directive similar to General Order 7 forbids entering the Delphi Ardu system or attempting to make contact with Portal 6-3.
Starfleet doesn't throw up a no trespassing sign for just anybody.
I suppose it makes sense considering what happened to the Enterprise.
Well, yeah, the entity's still there. So, of course, they don't want anybody visiting.
The technology to capture and hold the Federation flagship would have to be unbelievably powerful. Computer, what else can you tell us about the energy-draining field the Takan used?
The Enterprise D was unable to break free on its own. The precise nature of the technology was never fully understood. Only that the crystalline technology used was beyond the comprehension of then-current Starfleet science.
The engineering team found a quantized spin crystal formation in the shuttle you took to Hotari. They registered tetrametric radiation coming from it.
Gesundheit.
We have Takan technology on board right now?
We might. I'll run a full analysis in the containment lab.
The Elydians should have crushed the revolt. But if the Hotari have Takan technology and can control it, I see why they're willing to negotiate peace. For all we know, this could be just the beginning. And we're up against something greater than we can imagine.
We need to go to those mines.
There's only one way to find out. We need to see what's down there for ourselves.
I might be able to help with that. We've been able to triangulate the source of the ionic interference and warp disruption to a specific mine on Tau. Engineering used the latest data from your shuttle to pinpoint its origin. There.
So we know where to look.
Commander Rydek's right. We need to know what's down there, what the Hotari are hiding, to better understand what we're up against.
What was the side about?
To neutralize it if we can.
Ah, the commander's right.
Embarking on a mission to the Hotari moon would not be viewed favorably by either side. However, given the circumstances, we are entirely within our rights to defend ourselves.
Right?
I just want to make sure this doesn't blow up in our faces. Which is why I'm thinking of sending Commander Rydek on a covert mission to Tau. Assuming you're up to the task. It would require absolute secrecy. And obviously, it's not without risk.
I'll assemble a away team.
I'll get the away team in and out. They're in safe hands with me.
Under normal circumstances, that would be the case. But given the sensitive nature of this incursion, I'm afraid you'll have to go it alone. I'm hoping Tylus can accompany you. The priority is to avoid detection. It's a calculated risk. The last thing we need is to get caught and then blamed for violating our neutrality and aggravating an already tense situation. We can't afford any mistakes, which is why I've chosen you.
I won't get caught.
Yes, sir. I'll do everything in my power to make sure no one knows I'm there.
Good. Of course, you'll have full support from the Resolute, and we'll make sure we take every precaution.
Every precaution.
Get in touch with Tylus and make the necessary arrangements as discreetly as possible.
Bridge to Captain Solano. The Elydians have moved additional ships to the edge of the Hotari system. Current heading is straight for the homeworld.
Understood.
It would seem we no longer have the luxury of waiting. In that case, may I suggest you and I return to Hotari Prime. Doing so will provide Commander Rydek as much time as possible to complete her mission.
Agreed. We'll hail the Queen's delegation from my ready room. We all know what we need to do. Dismissed.
All right. And since that seems like a good place to have a cliffhanger, I'm going to stop right there for tonight, my friends. Let me see. Which one of these is the record? Maybe I should look. I lost my button labels. So on my stream deck, I want to make sure I don't hit the wrong one. Okay, the one on the left. There we go. This is what I get for putting the record button and the stream button next to one another, is I don't know which one's going to do what. All right. So yeah, we're going to pick this up tomorrow night, my friends. Because I want to be awake, alert, and bright, and be able to pick up on all of the subtleties that I need to in order to continue the story here. So far, so good. I like the story that they've laid out. There's some interactivity there, obviously, and it's. Having played a bunch of Telltale games, it's about the level of interactivity I would expect It would be nice though. One of those things there. It would be nice if, since they give you a tricorder, if you could actually read what was on the tricorder before, they speak up about it, because it would be nice to actually like see the scan and stuff rather than just hear them talk about it. But I get it. They want to keep the pace up, and so I get that. Not a fan of the selective, sometimes selective subtitles. I guess they have a bug there where some of their subtitles are not coming through properly, so that's a bummer. Because that's kind of important. So far the subtitles that are missing were not necessarily important information, so at least there's that, but it's still not a good look to have that. And I will complain yet again about the motion blur and stuff. It's pretty bad. Like you can see, like even with like the force field and the shuttle bay there, you see it how muddy it's making the screen. Moving around. Like there's motion blur, and then there's like motion blur, and this has got motion blur to the like nth degree, where like moving around might even make people physically ill. I've got I'm fairly strong stomach, but even I'm like looking at it sometimes like, man, this is hurting my eyes. So it's unfortunate they barely give you any settings. So I will look around and I will dig around on the internet between now and tomorrow night and see if there is an INI file somewhere that I can manipulate and maybe turn some of that off and get a little bit better quality there. Beyond that, everything else so far so good. Like I said, I like the story. I like the callbacks. There was that one moment where there was that one dialogue choice that I felt was not earned by the writers. I felt like they kind of threw that in there and it drew me out of the story, right? It's like, like you have a choice, but now you don't. We've suddenly taken your choices away and we've given you a coin flip instead, which is not, I'm not really a fan of. I feel like they could have come up with something better. Now, granted, had they given a third choice there, everybody would have taken it. But I also feel like that was a perfect opportunity for them to give a hidden third choice, which is just let the timer run out and have her come up with something, right? Or have Spock chime in or something like that. And they didn't really take that. They didn't take that opportunity, because I was kind of expecting that, having played Telltale games and stuff, I was kind of expecting that, where sometimes you have that hidden third option where you just say nothing and you get this like additional pathway that wasn't obvious. So I think that was a missed opportunity there, but otherwise, I'm enjoying it. I'm not sure that I like the switching between characters. I think it's good in that it does give you some different stuff to do, but I think it's bad in that it's making it hard for me to stay focused on because both characters have very different personalities, and it's making it difficult to stay in character for both of them, right? And you can see that in some of the choices I'm making. A lot of the choices aren't coming up green or coming up like neutral or whatever, and that's directly due to the fact that we're swapping back and forth, and I'm having trouble remembering the contexts in which the friendships are and relationships are and all that stuff. I think that had this been something that I had any kind of control over, I would have liked to have just had it be, you are just one character, and not have it jumping between a lower decker and the commander, the first officer. In fact, honestly, this game probably would be 1,000% more interesting if you were just a lower decker throughout the whole game. Just saying, because he doesn't have all the information. So you're sort of kind of finding all this information through all the like little pieces of dialogue and things that you're overhearing from the senior staff and all that stuff. I think that would have been an even more interesting take on it. But I'm not complaining. I think the story is pretty strong so far, despite the fact that I think I've figured it out already. I kind of figured it out a little bit early, but you know, it is what it is. Anyway, we'll do more of this tomorrow night, as I said, and this is going to be the game for the week until I finish it. So I don't know how long it's supposed to be. But I'm going to play it continuously until we finish it, and then once I finish it, we'll pick up from there as far as what, you know, the normal games on my schedule. So depending on what day we finish it on. So I'm pretty sure it's not looking like I might not finish it tomorrow night. Maybe I will, maybe I won't, I don't know. But we'll probably most definitely be finished at, I would think, Thursday. I can't imagine they're going to draw it out that much further, but who knows. And then if that's the case, then on Friday we'll do Everspace 2 again. And then Saturday, regardless, we'll be doing some coding, a long coding stream, as I do on Saturdays. So that is the schedule as I know it right now, my friends. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. I hope everyone has an excellent morning, afternoon, or evening, depending on what it is for you. And hope to see you back here again in the future for some more stuff, whatever happens to suit your fancy. Until then, see you, bye.
Space!